No. Actually, I was supposed to record it so that if there was someone who couldn't be here, good thing we were just doing introductions. There's nothing super important that we missed.
So with that, hello, if you're joining us via recording, we started recording late and we are going through introductions.
We will get this back on track. Exactly. We'll get this train back on the track. Jason.
Hello there. I'm Jason Parsley. I am in South Florida. I'm a member of the South Florida or the Florida chapter, and I've been a long time member, and I'm going to be involved in the expanding the board task force.
Okay. Eleanor. Oh, thank you. Jason, we haven't met. Nice to meet you. I'm happy to have you chairing that task force. So thank you so much. Eleanor.
Yes, thank you for considering me.
Absolutely. Eleanor.
Hi, good morning. So I'm driving, so I can't be on camera. But I'm a longtime journalist with over 30 years experience. I was the former bureau chief for CBS News for the West region. I'm on the board of the SPJ Los Angeles chapter. And for the last 3 years, I have been the chair for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And actually, Omar was one of our fellows this year, so it's great to see her. And I'm really excited to be part of Ashanti's committee group. I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of great things. So thank you.
Thank you. And last but definitely not least, Peter.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Rasmussen, and I am in Kansas City. I just started my job 6 weeks ago. I moved from San Antonio, where I was on the board there, and just moved to Kansas City, and I will be chairing the Awards and Honors Committee.
Perfect. All right, so this is a great group. We're missing one person, Joanna Fernandez, who will be chairing the membership committee. I'm sure she probably had a conflict as she works at a higher education institution, and those schedules can be quite packed. So we'll make sure that she gets this recording so that she has all the information. So a couple of things that I did want to connect with all of you about. As you all are finalizing the rosters of your committees, if you could send myself and CC Emily the finalized list of who is on your committee so that we can ensure that information gets onto the SPJ website sooner than later, that would be fantastic. If you have not finished kind of building out your committee, if you need help with that, please let us know that as well. Just a piece of advice. I'm not going to limit how many people you all put on your committees, but just as a kind of best practices thing, the more people you have on your committee, the harder it is to be able to get consensus to meet. So just keep that in mind as you're building out your committees. If you have 10, 15 people that you need to corral, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So smaller is usually more efficient, but I will leave it up to all of you to make those final determinations. Second, whenever you all have a meeting of your committee, you need to make sure that you put it on SPJ's calendar that is on the website. If you go to, and I'm going to share my screen so that I can kind of walk everybody through this. Watch me not be able to find it. There we go. Okay. Share my screen. All right. Can everybody see this? Okay. So if you go to the homepage of the website, you'll go down here you'll click on more, which is up here. And then this side panel will pop out. If you go to event calendar here, you will be able to submit information that can be posted onto the calendar. So if you click here, you'll do the event name. So if you have a committee meeting, I'm going to put the name of the committee, the meeting, a little description, doesn't need to be long. And I would also encourage you all to put the Zoom link in here. So it says event URL. Put the Zoom link in here as well, your contact information, all of that good stuff. And then here we have tags that you can click depending on the committee that you're chairing or the event that you're doing. And then you just hit submit, and then headquarters staff will then put that information onto the calendar. The reason why I'm asking you all to do this is because per our bylaws, members have the ability to listen in to all meetings that are taking place under the guise of SPJ. So we at least want to have an opportunity for our members to attend, not disrupt, but attend and listen in to what you all are all doing. If you decide that you want to record your meetings, I'm going to leave that 100% up to you. I do not want to create additional work for all of you because I know that all of you are volunteers. So, you know, if the bare minimal is to at least just get the event onto the events calendar, if you meet that bare minimal, I'm okay with that. If you want to go a step further and record the meetings, we can get that recording onto the SPJ YouTube channel. If you would like, but again, like I said, I will leave that part up to your own discretion. Okay. The other thing that I did want to share too is I will need committee reports from all of you, maybe a couple of weeks before we have a scheduled board meeting. Fortunately, all of the board meetings have already been scheduled and put on the calendar for this year. There's only 4 at this point. The first one is going to be January 13th. So what that means is even if it's not live, this doesn't need to be some crazy multiple page report. If you just give me a couple of bullet points of the things that your committee is working on, or things that might be coming up, or maybe events that you've had. And if it's an event, just a slight sentence about, you know, it went well, we had good attendance, what have you. You know, what I'm actually going to do during the board meetings to ensure that our board meetings are not 2 to 3 hours long is I will take that information and I will put it into my president's report. So you all will not have to, you know, give your reports to the board at a board meeting. So if you're not available to be at a board meeting, it will be covered. But I think that's a more efficient way of sharing the information and all of the good work that you all are doing, rather than taking up a ton of time, having 11 different people speak during the board meeting. I will send out, or Emily will send out, a reminder email maybe a week or 2 before we would like to get that in. So if the meeting is January 13th, in a perfect world, you know, getting your report to us 3 weeks before that would be very helpful. I know that that is right up against the holidays. So if you want to give yourself an earlier deadline of, say, December 10th, just so it's out of the way and done. And I know a lot of you may not have a lot of information to share at this point because we're just kind of getting started. That's fine. Even if it's like a paragraph of bullet points of, you know, we got our roster together, you know, we're having our first meeting this date and we're hoping to do X, Y, and Z. That's enough for me, right? Doesn't need to be huge, but I do want to make sure we at least have that information so that I can share with the membership and the board all of the great work you all are doing and your committees are doing and task force says. So there's that. Emily, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
I think you covered most of it. I would just touch on, Jason is here, and then we're missing 2 other task force leaders, and
Yes.
those rules are technically slightly different, but I don't know if you want to touch on like what that means for them.
Yeah, I mean, the task forces, you know, the committees are specifically named in the bylaws. The task forces are not. So I would still suggest, if you're a task force chair, that you post your meetings on the calendar, just so that we're being transparent. But, you know, to me, it would also help to get a slight report from you as well as to kind of just where you are in the process, what you're working on, all of those good things. So I hope, is that what you wanted me to address, Emily? Okay, perfect. Beautiful, beautiful. Any questions that anyone has as we all kind of start this work?
I have a question.
Yes.
If we wanted to use headquarters Zoom account, how do we go about doing that?
So what I can do is after this call, Emily and I will send out an email with a recap of what we went through in this meeting, and we'll also include the login information for the SPJ Zooms. So if you guys decide that that's what you want to use, you can use that. Also, if you have a personal Zoom that you want to use, that's okay too, as long as the link is on the calendar and people have access to your meeting. I don't care what Zoom you use, but I'll send out that information if you don't have a Zoom to use, or at least one that has unlimited time. I'll send out those login credentials as well.
Okay, Ashanti,
Thank you.
a couple of things, because we have two Zoom accounts in SPJ.
Yes.
And many years ago, the SPJ was kind enough to the international community to give us a dedicated one. We've cut way back on what we're doing on our program. So last year, I suggested that the committees start using that one rather than the main SPJ one, which starts competing with chapters and regional
Okay.
officers. It's a much more open, it's got all the same bells and whistles and like
Perfect.
that. So that's the one I would suggest sending around.
Dan, can you send me the login credentials for that via email?
Sure.
Beautiful. And then I can share that with the group.
Then there becomes a second problem, though, that new signing into that, they have a security stop check.
Right.
And that goes to, I think, Jennifer's phone.
Yes,
I'm
it
not
does.
Sure. So
Yes.
you have to make arrangements with Jennifer before you sign on. So don't think you can just come in, set it up, and use it within the next hour, because you're going to have to go through a process. And even if you don't use it after a while, you have to go through this process again. I've had to do it several times on both the standard one, the main one for the SPJ, and then the secondary one.
Yeah,
So
same.
it's a pain in the lower parts of the body, but it works. And once you get through it, you may not have, and if you use it regularly, you may not have to go through the security steps for another year. But
Maybe.
be ready for it.
Yeah, I would also say this actually reminds me too, before you schedule a meeting that if you're gonna use SPJ Zoom, make sure you check the meeting schedule to see if something is already booked at that time. Okay, and check also not just the meetings, but the webinars. So just double check that you're not double booking the Zoom, because what'll happen is if someone's already, set up a Zoom and you set up one at the same time, whoever is first will end up getting kicked off when the second person logs in, right, to start their meeting. So just make sure if you're going to use that Zoom that you double check who already has meetings or webinars scheduled so that there aren't conflicts and we're not kicking other people off of events or meetings that they've already scheduled beforehand.
Would
Right.
it
And-
be,
and-
wouldn't
and
it be
this-
easier just to check with Jennifer, just so that she can, see that, we have access to it or not?
I would say this, my guess is she's not going to have time in her schedule to stop what she's doing to do that check. So it's probably going to be more efficient to log in yourself and check as you're, getting ready to schedule a meeting. She will have to give you obviously the passcode, but checking her phone and giving you the passcode versus logging in and clicking through and then looking at the meetings herself. My guess is she's not going to have the capacity to do that for 11 different folks. So I would encourage you all to, before you even have your first meeting, take some time to just look around the Zoom and how the meetings are set up in the webinar so that you know where to go just in case you need to schedule a meeting.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I just want to underscore what you had said, Ashanti, also about meetings and webinars.
Yeah.
If you schedule either one of those, just go to the other one and book the same time as well. So, if somebody wants to do a meeting while you're doing a webinar, they'll see that meeting time is taken up. So, that's the easiest way to make sure nobody crosses over with one while you're doing the other.
That's a good idea. Thank you for that. Any other questions that folks have?
I apologize. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ashanti and Emily, it would be helpful if there were a list of instructions and best practices, because I know when I've booked meetings before, you go in and you see these options and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And so make sure to record in the cloud. But if you have speakers or something like that, or committee members, they should get maybe a panelist link rather than
Well,
just
if
the
you're doing a
membership.
webinar, right,
Right,
if you're doing a
right.
webinar, yes, there's a function within, when you're scheduling a webinar where you can go down to the very bottom and you can actually input the emails of the panelists that, you know, are going to be in the webinar. So I can definitely get some instructions for, you know, setting up a Zoom meeting versus setting up a webinar meeting, and then how to kind of input the panelists so that they get that unique panelist link. Yeah, I can do that. That's not a
I
problem.
think we had something like that done up last year along with the webinar meeting conflict. So there's about 90% of it is already written. It's just
Okay.
need to add some of the details that Tim is talking about here.
I'll reach out to Jennifer and get that document and then update it so that it's, you know, a little bit more robust and detailed, and then we'll send that out. Yeah. Anastasia, I think you had a question too. Maybe. If you're talking, you're muted.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
coughing. So sorry. So could you possibly show again how to add to the calendar? I found it and everything. It's just the adding I can't seem to. Oh, sorry.
So let me, no, totally fine. Totally fine. Okay. So I'm actually going to go back. So if you go to the main homepage, there's an area that's more, and then this side area will click out under Explore SPJ. You're going to go to the event calendar. Once you're there, right on the very top, there's a hyperlink there where it says, want to see your event added here. You click that, and then that pulls up the submission sheet where you can put all the information. And then at the very bottom, you hit submit. That's it.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. That's just great. Please don't hold that against me.
No.
By the way,
our website is hard to navigate. No, I do not hold it against you at all.
by the way, huge public congratulations on your new job. So,
oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be an associate dean starting January 1 at my institution, Santa Monica College. So
cool.
Yeah. So not busy at all. Okay. Any other questions that anyone had? No? Okay, great. Some of you I have already spoken to at length. And you know, as you all have started to move forward with pulling together your, yes, Sharon.
Well, I just thought, so as far as clarification, like the full-time staff who work for SPJ and how we keep them in the loop, but also what sorts of things we can ask them to do versus what sorts of things we need to divide amongst ourselves. Like that's something I wasn't sure about, how the committees work with the full-time staff for SPJ.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. So I will say in general, headquarters staff is quite lean at the moment. So there's certain folks that are going to be connected to the committee work just because of the title of their job, right? So Lou Harry, for instance, is going to be very connected to the Awards and Honors Committee, which Peter already knows, because he is not only the editor of Quill, but he is also the director of Awards and Honors. Karen Sneath is the director of education, so she will be, you know, closely linked to your particular committee. The rest of your committees, though, there's not necessarily a designated headquarters staff member that is connected to it, other than the Legal Defense Fund, because Mark Balin, our campus counsel, is connected to that work. Other than, well, and then Rod Hicks is also closely connected to the ethics committee that Fred Brown chairs. Other than that, I would say, you know, myself and Emily are going to be kind of the point folks for you all to reach out to if there are any needs. And then if we think that a headquarters staff is someone who could support whatever needs you have, then we can have that conversation with Jennifer. So I'm trying to cut down on the amount of times we reach out to headquarters staff so that they can kind of pay attention to the many, many, many different hats they're all wearing at this point, because our staff is a bit skeletal at the moment. So I would say that if you know for a fact that someone is attached to your committee, obviously feel free to reach out. If there's something else that is tangential to your committee work that you might need help or assistance with, reach out to myself and Emily, and we can figure out the best way to kind of address the concern or the issue or the need. I hope that helps.
Got it. So we should be inviting both of you to our meetings if you want to go, or just sending you links to the recordings, or CCing you on the correspondence of the committee. I just want to know how much to include you, but also not to over spam you.
Yeah, I don't mind being CC'd on, as you all are reaching out to your committee members and, planning things and whatever. If there's a specific reason that you need me to be at the committee meeting, or a specific reason that Emily needs to be at the committee meeting, I'm going to leave that up to all of you. Like I said, I'm not a micromanager. I have no plans in, sitting over your shoulders like, well, what are you guys doing? Like, it's just not how I manage. And, all of you are very capable and accomplished folks in your own right. And so, we do not need to be at your meetings unless there's a specific need where you're like, no, we need you here because we need to discuss this and we want to hear your input or, all of those things. So as long as we're just kind of kept in the loop of what everyone's working on, that's good enough for me. Yeah.
Ashanti, can I ask, thanks for the information about staff. I know leads items, if we have any submissions or recommendations for items, are usually due Monday before the Wednesday. So is this the same approach? We should reach out to you and Ashanti and Emily, or is that kind of just a routine thing we could send to a communications person, or what do you think?
Yeah. If you have something specific that you want to go in leads, what I would do is send that to Jennifer and CC Kim, who has just been promoted to a marketing or communications coordinator position. So I can include that information too on the email that we send out so that you all are aware of who to contact if you have something that needs to go in leads.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
And the leads people have been very nice that even if you get it in Tuesday and it's important enough, they'll wedge it in.
They'll slide it in. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, great. All right. I am a huge proponent in giving people back their time if we don't need it any longer. So I appreciate all of you. We will send out that email just to kind of recap the things that we've discussed during this meeting. We'll also send out the recording when it's done as well. And I'll get the information for the Zoom and the contact for leads in that email as well. Hopefully we'll get rosters from all of you soon. But excited to
I do have one question. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Are you still planning to have our conference virtual?
At this point, we're not planning to have a conference at all until we get a better sense of what the detailed figures are going to be for the SPJ Foundations and reinvestment plan. Until I can see the numbers and how they shake out against the line items that we're already encumbered to pay, I don't think it's fiscally responsible to make a decision for the 2024 convention yet. It is very likely we will have that discussion at our January 13th meeting, because at that point, we will know exactly what the 2024 budget looks like. So, I would say give us a little time to be able to make that decision. Even if we don't have a 2024 convention, there's a huge possibility that we have another kind of event that's more fundraising driven, where we can celebrate the 115th year of SPJ. We can still have the President's Banquet, the Fellows of the Society, and still give out the Wells Key. So I would say stay tuned for that. We will likely have that discussion at the January meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And Ashanti, related to that, if anybody has, or if you and the board and other people here have suggestions, in the past, we've had a silent auction that benefits the Legal Defense Fund. And, if we don't have an annual meeting, I'm still interested in finding a way to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll have items stacked to my dining room table and I've got to ship them out. I don't know what that looks like. But if anybody has had experience with kind of an online process like that, I'd love to collaborate with you to talk about how we could do that.
We should also tap Lucas Metropolis, the fundraising director. It's very possible that he has had experience with that in the past with, as a fundraising effort. So, so let's talk more about that. Because
Beautiful.
it is possible he could help give some insights with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the downside of an online auction though is you don't get to see Steve Guyman fighting with somebody over.
This is true. All right, any other? Oh,
Just
go ahead, Dan.
Anybody playing with working with the Zoom, I'm always available. I've done so much for the international community and the DC chapter. I know this stuff 99% inside out. So feel free to give me a shout and I can help you out if you're having some difficulties.
Okay, perfect. What I'll do too is if everybody is in agreement, I will also include in that email a list of all of your names and email addresses. So if you all want to collaborate, you know, on events, or if you need to ask questions or what have you, you all have each other's contact information and can do so.
Maybe also mobile phone numbers. That way we can use WhatsApp.
I will leave it up to everyone to decide if they want to share that information. Some
You
people
can
are a
put
little
mine
funny
in.
with their, okay. Some people are a little funny with their phone contact information. So I will leave that up to all of you to share that information. Dan, I'm not sure I have your cell phone number.
Oh, well, then I'll have to send that to you.
Okay.
I mean, I practically live on WhatsApp now for work and half of the SPJ stuff I do. So
Gotcha.
Is this a good opportunity to say, oh, I'm in? So share my cell, or do you want us to?
No, why don't
respond
you
back
guys
to the
share?
email?
Yeah, just respond back to the email, and then that way,
Okay.
or you know what I'll do? Actually, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a Google Excel document and put all of your names and your email addresses, and I'll leave a column for your cell phone numbers. And if you decide that you want to share that, you can just input it into there, so we can cut down on the reply alls, because I hate that. So we'll do it that
You
way.
were just looking for an opportunity to do a Google Excel sheet, weren't
I
you? Just
totally
own
was.
it.
Listen,
Okay.
Excel
I mean, we
is my
like to
love
provide
language.
that. Yes,
And-
yes. So
and feel
I'm
free
just-
to
You're
update-
welcome.
Feel free to update your emails as well in that Excel sheet. We just used what Impexium has as your latest. If that's not your preferred email, feel free to update that, and maybe also use that as a call out to update your Impexium email too.
Yes. All right. Any other questions?
I don't know what Impexium is.
Oh, it's the membership database, which is not lovely, but
and put database in quotes.
yes, in really big quotes and a huge asterisk. It's not great. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Well, excited to work with all of you this year. Very, very, you know, confident that you all are going to do amazing things, and we will send out that email by the end of today. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Sounds good.
weekend.
All right,
Thanks.
take care.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving,
turkey day.
everyone.
Take care, bye.
Bye.